Welcome everybody to today's webcast. We'll be talking to you about gaining end-to-end visibility across a global supply chain, and we'll be leveraging some of our recent experiences, in particular in the pharmaceutical industry, and using the Qlik technology platform. My name is Andy Lazenby. I'm Head of Marketing here at Thorogood, and I'm talking to you today from our London office. I'm joined on the line by a couple of our consultants in the US. Tom Yeager and Sarah Chang are joining us from Jersey City. And Tom and Sarah are going to be taking us through the meat of the content today. We've got some great demos, some applications that we've delivered to real customers that have been anonymised for today's purposes, but we're leveraging some real experiences here to show you what can be achieved. So the objectives of today's session, firstly to explore the capabilities of the technology platform from Qlik. So Qlik View and End Printing being two of their leading products, and we'll show you how they can be used to deliver supply chain applications. We'll also talk about some of the challenges and complexities of a modern global supply chain, and illustrate to you how integrating Qlik with established data platforms and systems that you might already have in place can really help to deliver insights and add value to those platforms. I'll start with a brief introduction and a little overview of Thorogood as an organisation, and I'll then hand you over to Sarah and Tom, who will talk to you about the technology platform in more detail. And the meat of the content, the bulk of today's content, is going to be taking you through three demonstrations, three applications that have been delivered. The first is around global distribution. The second is a regional supply shipment tracking system. And finally, we have some automated report generation. So just a few words around, from your sponsor about Thorogood. We're a specialist consultancy practice, and we specialise in business intelligence and analytics, and we've been doing that for the life of the company since 1987, so 28 plus years now. We partner with a number of leading vendors in this space, but we also treat ourselves as being independent. Our technology partnerships are there to help us deliver customer solutions, and we are very focused on the best interests of our customers. Today's webcast focuses on one of those particular vendor relationships, but we have delivered solutions in this space across a number of technologies. We operate globally from our offices out in New York and Philadelphia, in London, and our largest and fastest growing practice now sits in Bangalore in India. And our services range from BI and analytics strategies and technology roadmaps, the training and adoption of technologies and applications. The bulk of the work is application design and development, the delivery of applications similar to those we'll be demonstrating to you today. We also offer data analytics services and support and maintenance services around those applications. And our consultants are recruited and possess what we see as a unique mix of skills. We develop in them an understanding of the businesses in which we operate. We hold very dear the technical excellence and the skills needed to work with a number of technology platforms and to get the most out of those in terms of usability, performance. We also expect to hold a strong analytical ability, an ability to use these systems as our business customers would want to use them to find insights in the data. And that unique combination of skills helps us to deliver really effective solutions in this space. I mentioned some of our technology partnerships. If you're familiar with the business intelligence landscape, the big four are all there: Microsoft, IBM, SAP, Oracle. But also some of the niche vendors, some of the specialist vendors in this business intelligence analytics space, such as Tableau. Our focus for today will be around Qlik, also SAS in the heavy analytics space, and you may be surprised to see Salesforce, a leading CRM player, aiming to get into the BI and analytics space through their Salesforce Wave, their Salesforce Analytics Cloud product. That's a recent partnership for us because we see a lot of potential in their product. We also work with vendors such as Anaplan in the planning space, DataSift for social media integration. Roamby, a recent acquisition by SAP, has been a specialist in the mobile reporting space, particularly to Apple devices, iPad and iPhone, but has broadened that reach in the last year or two. And also Revolution Analytics, another acquisition, this time by Microsoft last year, specialised in that R analytics space. This is just a selection of our partnerships here, but today we'll be focusing, as I've said, on Qlik. We've been partnered with Qlik since 2009. They have a number of products, which Sarah will talk to you about in a moment, and we've delivered over 100 solutions using these products and have well over 60 consultants in the practice now experienced at delivering solutions. And quite often what we're doing with Qlik is integrating it with other technologies. And that might be data platforms such as SAP BW, Oracle, Teradata or SQL Server, where we source data into Qlik. It might be platforms, collaboration platforms such as SharePoint, or CRM platforms such as Salesforce, where we can push out Qlik content and embed it in a business application. We also increasingly work with big data sources such as Hadoop. And finally, just a little bit about our industry experience that we're drawing upon for today's examples. So firstly, in terms of pharmaceutical, we've been working in the pharma space since pretty much the birth of the company, a good 25 or more years, including companies such as GSK, AstraZeneca, Novartis and Roche. And we've got domain experience and functional experience across finance, sales, marketing, but of most relevance today is, of course, supply chain and manufacturing. We've been doing quite a lot of work recently in the UK and in the US to deliver supply chain analytics strategies and applications and platforms for delivering reporting and analysis out to that market. Similarly, we've been working with the consumer goods sector and have some strong experience with firms such as Mars, Reckitt Benckiser, PepsiCo and Unilever. Again, across a number of functional areas, finance, customer development, marketing amongst them, but of course supply chain and manufacturing are a big part of this sector too. And there's a lot of similarity between the pharma manufacturing and consumer goods manufacturing industries, but there are also some subtleties and some nuances where these two industries differ, and we're very well versed with both of those. We'll be drawing today upon some pharmaceutical experiences for the applications, but I'm sure you'll see a lot of relevance if you work in the consumer goods market. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to my colleagues in the US, and we'll start with Sarah to talk through the Qlik platform.
Thanks, Andy. In this webcast, we're going to look at how we can bring together various supply chain scenarios with Qlik's product offerings. We have chosen to use the Qlik products in this webcast because we have often seen the product suite utilized in our supply chain experiences that Andy just highlighted. Qlik is not a single tool, but actually 3 different tools: QlikView, QlikSense, and Imprinting. We will only be demonstrating QlikView and Imprinting in this webcast, but we do have QlikSense on our website as an on-demand video. Qlik's strength lies in the fact that its range of products is able to meet each user's needs all across the spectrum. We will show that QlikView can not only be used for high-level dashboarding, but can also be used for more guided navigation and interactive exploration. The power of QlikView, in comparison to other traditional BI tools, and one of the key reasons for success in the pharma and consumer goods industries, is its flexibility and adaptability to meet the complex and ever-changing needs of a supply chain. It allows developers to model data and to meet specific analytical requirements, while giving a range of powerful functions to control and drive all aspects of the user experience. The combination of the two allows a flexible application to be developed that can meet the needs of a modern supply chain. We will emphasize this flexibility by showing how QlikView can even be used to do some prediction for future planning. We'll also walk through how one of Qlik's newest offerings, Imprinting, can be used for structured burst reporting, and look at how this tool aligns QlikView's flexibility with the structured and highly presentable reporting needs of any supply chain. One important thing we will consider is how the flexibility of the Qlik products can be used to meet the needs for a range of different users. Think about the users in your business community and the types of tasks and data analysis they are doing. We've put a view of it on a scale here with consumers on the left and analysts on the right. Different business users have different needs. Some users just need to be informed and monitor data. Other users need details. And other users need to dive into data to find problems. The flexibility of the Qlik products means this can all be achieved within a single toolset. There are many benefits of using Qlik to analyze the supply chain. Tools like Qlik Server and Access Point allow reports to be located centrally. This makes it easy for them to be accessible from anywhere when a user is connected to the network. This means that there is always one source of the truth and limits the confusion that can arise when everyone is using separate reports, which may not have the latest data or updates. It also eases the burden for development, as you can develop one report that can be utilized by a broad range of people by incorporating filters and security measures. With the server, it is also possible to set up automated reload schedules to make sure your dashboards are always reporting the most recent data on a predictable schedule. QlikView also utilizes in-memory data modeling which increases performance over constantly running queries against an external data model. It also gives your developers more freedom in their ability to create customized reports with unique functions and capabilities. The data model also allows you to combine multiple different data sources into one cohesive structure. Finally, Qlik can integrate with many of the technologies that you're already using, which increases user adoption. QlikView is able to integrate directly into tools like SharePoint and Salesforce to provide additional functionality to tools your users may already be familiar with. QlikView can also now integrate with Microsoft Office products such as Excel and PowerPoint via imprinting. So now we're going to actually jump into our first demonstration for the global distribution stock level visibility. For this demo, I am playing the role of a global supply chain manager responsible for maintaining a healthy supply chain across all regions in my company. I need to be able to quickly identify potential problem regions and identify ways of addressing those problematic regions. Using QlikView, I'm able to answer key questions such as, are my regions able to meet the fluctuating levels of demand? Are my plants going to be able to quickly respond to demand needs? QlikView enables me to bring together various sources of information so that I can better ensure the operational effectiveness of each of my regions. The application I have now open is Qlik Desktop, and I am accessing locally via a personal desktop version of QlikView. On the left-hand side, you can see various filter selections which I can choose which fields to filter the data in the application. For instance, I can filter the data by week or by inventory level. Making any filter selection filters the data in the entire application, so the user does not have to go and reapply that filter to each individual tab. This is just one of QlikView's many features that helps with guided navigation, which is helping users tell a story, going from high level to more detailed information. We also have up here a search bar. You have the ability to search on various fields. You can also type in the fields and search by that as well. We also have the ability to clear, redo, or undo selections. And this current selections box shows any filter selections I make. The main visualizations are in the center of the dashboard with some high-level KPIs at top. As a company, we have inventory and distribution warehouses located across the globe, with the inventory coming from plants, which are also located across the globe. This application combines inventory data from distribution centers with demand forecasts and shipment data so that I can identify stock issues and work with each region to identify underlying issues and rectify any problems as quickly as possible. At a high level, I want to know how many of my distribution centers in each of my regions has the right amount of stock. I don't want any of my centers running into problems filling orders because of stock shortages, but I also don't want product expiring or have assets locked up in excess inventory because of overstock. This top chart shows me the number of in-stock, out-of-stock, and under-stock distribution centers has been pretty constant over the past 2 months, but the number of out-of-stock distribution centers is higher than I would like it to be. An out-of-stock distribution center is shown as any center that has at least one SKU on site that is out of stock, and ideally, I don't want any of my centers to have out-of-stock SKUs. To get a better sense of which of my regions I should focus my attention on, I want to know the particularly problematic regions. I can get a high-level sense of this from the bottom chart right here, which shows the percentage of out-of-stock or under-stock SKUs by region. I can look towards the bottom chart, and immediately I can see that the Commonwealth or independent states is a big issue, with almost half of its SKUs out of stock. At least this number is down from last week, as indicated by this arrow. This is something that I'm going to flag to the Commonwealth of Independent States Regional Manager to look further into. In the meantime, I have a particular interest in seeing how Latin America is doing, as I have a meeting tomorrow with the Latin America Regional Manager to discuss performance in his region. I can simply click on Latin America, and the entire workbook is now filtered to data relevant to this region. I can also select the current week, And again, the workbook is updated to show data for the current week. I can see the number of distributors that have out of stock or under stock has been increasing recently, though under stock has dropped in the last 2 weeks. But the number of distributors that have in-stock inventory has not really changed across time. This is a red flag that I will raise to my regional manager tomorrow. On a positive note, the percentage of out-of-stock SKUs is at only about 16%, which is even down from last week. Now that I can see that the number of out-of-stock and under-stock distributors are increasing over time, I will now go to the Distributor Analysis tab to dig deeper into the issue and investigate what exact distribution centers and SKUs are contributing to this out-of-stock and under-stock trend. I would also be interested in knowing how much of the actual demand we will be unable to meet in those centers. Right now, the dashboard is set to show the top 10 distributor countries with the most out-of-stock in both the top and in the bottom chart. I want to know if any of those top distributor countries will actually fail to meet demand. This top chart shows me how my total inventory compares to my actual demand for the current week. The total bar is the total amount of inventory that I have in each of my distributor countries. The safety stock is the amount of inventory that I do not want to go under, as it's there for any unforeseen circumstances. I don't want the actual demand to cut into my safety stock. From the top chart, I can see that Peru is particularly problematic, as there's no inventory currently to handle that demand. The bottom right chart shows the top 10 SKUs that have the most out-of-stock inventory. The bottom two charts really work together to show me either the SKUs that are accounting for the problematic distributors or the distributors that are supplying the problematic SKUs. Since in the top chart, I can see that Peru is a particularly problematic country, I can drill farther into this by selecting Peru. And now I can see the exact SKUs that are accounting for this issue. Unselecting Peru, if I notice that SKU 20643 is particularly problematic, and select it, and now I can see which country supplies this SKU. I also have the ability to view information in this dashboard by simply clicking on the Under Stock button. And now all charts in this dashboard update accordingly to show this information. In this demonstration, I showed how to quickly dive into investigation for a particular region to identify the problematic distribution centers, or SKUs, and the associated SKUs with those centers, and associated distribution centers with those SKUs. I am now prepared to share these findings with my Latin America Regional Manager, Tom, and I'm going to pass it over to him for the next demo.
Great. Thank you very much, Sarah. So for this next demonstration, I am going to be, as Sarah said, playing the role of the Latin America Regional Representative. And I'm going to now, having just met with Sarah, I'm going to be able to go into the same application and actually look at the information that she flagged to me and find out more about it, and then hopefully be able to make some decisions to remedy any issues that she raised during our meeting. So if I open up the application again, I can come in here and I can pick up right where she left off. So if I see, as she said, that for the out-of-stock that Peru was an issue, I can come in and I can choose to highlight and start to focus on one of the SKUs that is listed here. And for this rest of the demo, we're going to focus specifically on this SKU right here, this 12087. So what I would do then, going to the next tab here, is this is actually a location analysis tab that I can use to track how shipment is flowing from all of the plants that are sending SKUs to our distribution sites, and then how those shipments relate to our total inventory and then our expected demand or our actual demand. I want to take a moment to actually talk about this tab and this chart itself here, because this is something that is not necessarily out of the box as we've shown in the rest of the QlikView application, but is actually something kind of custom made using an add-in and an extension here with this chart. And this kind of highlights the benefit, and we talked about before, the power of QlikView in this customization and the ability to use different variables and filters and really customize and create these new charts. So this is something that we've created that, again, is not out of the box, is not something you can get from a normal QlikView application, but really shows the power of QlikView and incorporating this into your supply chain analysis. In this chart, we can see we have all of the green plus symbols here are actually all of the plants that are located globally, as we said, that ship products to the distribution sites that are within my region. So as you can see, we've selected the Latin America and Caribbean region. So we have all of those, and we can see then the particular SKUs that are being sent to these sites, and we can then also see where they're coming from. So if we want to go back to that particular SKU that we were looking at in the previous tab, I can use this search bar, which Sarah highlighted, to actually filter directly to that particular SKU. And now we can see that in this case, Peru was the one we were looking at, but we can also see that from Brazil, it actually ships to 3 different countries within my region. So we have shipping to Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Peru. With that now, we can actually start to look at how those shipments match where they're going and then how they match the demand in those actual sites. So we can see that Peru is actually the only one that is out of stock, and all of the other 3 actually have an inventory that's higher than the demand. And we can see the difference and then the percent difference as well between those. Now what we can start to do here is we can start to see where we may be able to pull and reroute shipments from one site to another. Not necessarily looking just in this particular week, but we can also look forward to future weeks to see how forecasted demand might be able to, compare to incoming shipments, and then where we also might be able to reroute shipment. So this gives us an idea of where all of our different products are going and how we can fill those backfill areas. If, for example, I did want to see what was happening in the next week, I can use my week filter and I can future to the following week. So if we said the current week is this week 13, we'll now look at week 14, and we can see Brazil, yet again, has a very large shipment coming in for a fairly low demand forecast. You probably can't make many decisions off of this as you're only looking at 2 weeks as a whole, but we'll look at something in the future. But really this shows you both, because you don't want to have products going out of stock, but at the same time, there is a significant cost associated with having unused product sitting in warehouses and distribution sites, both from the fact that it may expire if you're working with stuff that has a particular shelf life, but also just the cost associated with storing products that aren't being shipped out to customers. So now that we've done this and we've seen, okay, so I want to focus specifically on this product and how it's coming to Brazil and what I can do to possibly alleviate the out-of-stock options that are here in Peru. So if I shift over to my next tab and I remove my week filter, this again is another kind of custom chart that we've created using some what-if analysis to allow us to look then at the future, again incorporating that future supply forecast as well as the incoming shipments to see essentially our go negative week or when our products will be out of stock and how we can hopefully then remediate the problems before they actually become out of stock. So as you can see, I've still filtered here to that particular SKU that we were looking at in the last 2 tabs. We can see in this top chart that our forecast accuracy has actually been pretty consistent over the past few months, and that we've actually been overestimating what our intended demand will be compared to our actual demand. In this bottom chart, we can see everything to the left here is our actual demand and then our actual inventory levels in this gray line. And then this dotted line actually shows our forecasted demand and how our forecasted stock will appear. The one thing that we can do is that with this forecast accuracy percent, we can actually adjust it. So if we say that we're about 12% over, we can actually adjust this to show that actually if we go based on these assumptions, that we actually have a lot more stock in hand than we actually assumed that we did. I can then filter here to Brazil, and I can see how Brazil is looking. So I can see that actually if we did reroute shipment based on our current demand forecast and our current incoming shipment levels, we actually probably could divert a little bit of our product to Peru to offset some of the issues. If I were to filter then to Peru instead, we could see that actually there's been a significant issue with our forecasting being incredibly wrong in this instance, and that we have not really met any of our demand out of this out of this particular distribution site. So as a regional manager, this is something I would want to address. If I remove these filters, I can now see the Latin America forecast accuracy as a whole, and then I can see our trend line here. And I can also update this, so if we say that's about 3%, I can now, as a regional manager, see how overall my whole supply chain is doing within all the distribution sites in my area. And we can see that overall we're not doing too bad. However, we are getting close to our safety stock level in the future, and this may be something that we want to address before it actually does go negative. The last thing then that we can do is we can come into our last tab here, our detailed view, and this is where we can actually create some stuff that we can export to Excel. We can create more robust reports here, and we can use this same data. So if for maybe I want to bring in the same information we've been looking at, and I want to bring in the SKU, the distribution country, and the week, and then I want to show the total inventory and the actual demand. Now I have this pivot chart here that allows me to, rearrange my columns. I can maybe put weeks across the columns this way, and then I can actually export this to Excel, and I can share this with people. I can use this to do my own analysis outside of QlikView if I want to, get more in depth the actual line-by-line data. But again, this is how it, one of the ways that it sort of integrates with some of the tools that your users may already be used to. So I come back now to the presentation. Just to wrap up, we saw how using some of the more customized QlikView features such as the what-if analysis and the location analysis, we can actually look forward and remedy out-of-stock options and how we can find solutions to problems and then hopefully solve things before they actually become a problem, before our stock actually goes out of stock, so we can maintain a healthy supply chain with not extra products sitting around in some locations and then out of stock in other locations. The last thing that I want to do is I want to demo the end printing that we talked about in the beginning. For this particular demonstration, I'm actually going to change roles again, and this time I'm going to play the role of more of an analyst who is going to be generating regular distributable reports that these regional managers that we've been impersonating so far may need to, in this case, go and present to a global manager if you have like a monthly presentation or a quarterly presentation about the supply chain analysis. What end printing is going to allow you to do is to automate that process so that you really have, on a set schedule, you can generate these reports without having to go into the QlikView app and do it all manually. So we'll open up end printing here. This here we're showing is actually end printing version 16. Version 17 is all server-based, so we're showing the desktop version here. You can see it's not quite as flashy of an interface, but it's a very user-friendly interface and very easy to quickly adopt and learn. And what I've done now is I've created a connection to our QlikView application that we've been showing this whole time, and then I'm going to use that to actually create reports. So I have a few different reports that I can create here, but the one I'm going to focus on, we've talked about Excel and HTML, but the one we're going to focus on is the PowerPoint report. So what I've done is I've created a PowerPoint template that if I open this up here, we can edit the template, and I can show you that we've created a template using our standard format, and I've actually been able to go in and I've created an automated process that will bring in these exact charts that we've been showing already in the application, and it will automatically pull them back and then put them into my slide deck. I close this and close, and then within this also, I can also add filters. So I can add a filter here so that it shows just the current week, and this can then be updated each time you run this, that it will show the current week, so that way you're only getting the most recent information. And the other thing that I've done is I've created a cycle group. So this then, we showed how we have all the different regions for the distributors, and this cycle will actually loop through each of those different regions and generate a new PowerPoint report for each one of those. After this then, you can actually set up the schedule that we reload this on a regular basis, and then it actually will distribute these reports to the people who need it. So it'll automatically email it to whoever you set up as the intended recipient. So you can actually set it up and then email Latin America and North America and Eastern Europe, and you can email all of them their specific reports right through here, and it's all done manually, and so that way you can send it ahead of time maybe 2 days before they have their, regular monthly meeting, that they can then come back into the application and actually then drill down into the information that's being shown in the PowerPoint presentations so that they can answer any questions that may come up during their presentations and during their discussions. If I close this then, and I come into tasks, you'll see that I've created a report task that will then reload that report that I've just showed. And again, you can set up a schedule to do this. You can set up a monthly or quarterly schedule, but you can also come in here and do it manually. So for right now, I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to run this manually. And as we sit here and talk, you'll see that very quickly, it's actually looping through. You can see, for example, we just created one for the Near East, Asia, excluding the Near East, and we're looping through all of those different regions. And in about 15 seconds, it's created all of these. And if I open this folder up then, you can see this is where I've now stored all of them, and we've actually created a monthly distribution status report. And then I've also included the region as part of the title here. So if I open up the Latin America and Caribbean report, and I pull this here, you'll now see that all that information that we've just shown, the most recent stocks, and we can see the top 10 out of stock and top 10 out of stock SKUs and distribution countries, as well as that inventory build that I just demonstrated as well. So you can see now how we've just very quickly been able to send this out, and now all of our regional representatives have this in their email inbox, and they're able to then go back to the QlikView application and actually drill in and find things that this particular report exposed to them that they may have to justify or explain when they're talking with their managers. So again, as we showed here, just kind of adding to the additional ability, the ad hoc capabilities of QlikView, that automated report generation, saving time. If you can imagine going in as an analyst and actually having to do screenshots or having to create these charts every month, this saves a whole lot of time. In 15 seconds, you did, what may take quite a while to do for each of the different regions and then to distribute them and all of that. So it saves a lot of time and creates that automated process to really aid in the up-to-the-minute supply chain analysis. So that actually is the extent of the demonstrations that we're going to show today. We've walked through the end printing and the QlikView application. We do have a session here. We have still a few minutes left. Sarah's going to walk through a little bit of a wrap-up, a couple of slides here. But we do have some time possibly at the end of this for some question and answers. So as was said at the beginning, if you do have any questions, you can submit those through the chat pane to the host. And then at the end of it, if we have some time, we can address those questions. So if you have any, you can do that now while Sarah's wrapping up. If we don't get to the questions at the end of this presentation, we will follow up off the line as well. So we will make sure we get to all of the questions that are submitted. But for now, I will hand back over to Sarah to wrap us up.
Yep, thanks, Tom. So in terms of the objectives that we covered today in our demonstrations and presentations, we explored the capabilities of QlikView and imprinting as they relate to the supply chain examples that we demonstrated. We discussed the challenges and complexities of a modern supply chain, and we also illustrated the immense value of integrating Qlik in established systems. The QlikView workbook that we showed you today is a typical application that we create for our customers. We also offer services such as technology selection and end-user training. If you have any questions about any of our services or would like further information, please do reach out to us. In terms of upcoming events, you'll always visit our website to register for any upcoming events that interest you. On April the 20th, we have Building a Data-Driven Organization. We will share our experiences of helping global blue-chip organizations to develop analytic capabilities built upon 3 pillars of tools, data, and education. On April 21st, we have Introducing Microsoft SQL Server 2016. We will discuss and demonstrate the latest developments in the Server 2016. And on April 26th, for Energize Your Enterprise with Tableau Business Intelligence, we will discuss and demonstrate scenarios where Tableau can be effectively leveraged in enterprise organizations with the latest version of Tableau 9.3. For upcoming topics, I did want to highlight the Qlik Connections Customer Conference. We are hosting a seminar session focused on consumer goods at the Connections Customer Conference. If anyone is planning on going to the conference or is interested, please do reach out to us.
I'd just like to thank you all for joining. I hope you found this informative and found some of the cool features that QlikView can have to really improve the up-to-the-minute analysis of a supply chain to keep that healthy global supply chain going, and how it can be used by people all across the business in many different roles.